or listening or however you're consuming this thing that we're about to record. And for those of you live, hi, thank you for being here in our little live chat. We love you. I am frazzled because my notes got destroyed before we started, but that's not going to stop me. We're still going to have a really fun show previewing Week 14 in the NFL, and we're brought to you by DraftKings, and we'll tell you a little more about DraftKings as we get going. But I want to say hello to my friend and co-host. It's sarcastic McCormick, sincere McCormick's cousin. Hi, sarcastic.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yards per carry is our thing. That's what we do, especially on Friday afternoons. So.
It is, of course, Jim McCormick, and right, absolutely. Yeah. So we are going to look at this Week 14 slate. We have 6 teams on bye. This is the final bye weeks that we're going to have all season, and so when we do this show the rest of the year, Jim, we're going to have to move fast. So today, just plan on being luxuriously slow.
I'm just gonna saunter. It's a good word. I'm just gonna actually, a spelling word this week in my class is trudge. So I don't want to use that because I don't want to trudge. I want to saunter through this.
I love it. So I want to say a few things housekeeping wise off the top. I have no idea what Jim's record was picking against the spread last week, but I happen to know my own because it was good. Jim, was yours good? It was good.
It's pretty good.
What were you?
I was 11-5.
I was 11-4. Come on. If people are following us, tailing us, as they say,
good.
My goodness. I believe that puts you over Mount 500.
I am. I can see things that I've never seen before.
It's amazing.
There's new smells. There's also some new taxes and new things I have to get, like permits. But I can see things now. So
good job. I am now 19 games over 500 for the year.
Ooh, I am not there. I need several more weeks. I am 7 games over.
This has been good, but your best bets are really good, and you went
really good. I mean, again, 50% of them are the Eagles. So, and so it's literally there's not a whole lot of reason behind it. It's just let's see what happens this week, okay? Because
it's not science. It's not science, is what you're saying. So the next housekeeping thing I have to say is that quite literally nobody in the comments or that we could find in the chat got their pick correct for the week. So I'm not shouting out anybody, except for I'm about to shout out people who are in the live chat here momentarily. But we have to emphasize that we want to say hello and give props to somebody. And don't let the end of the season flag. Come on now, tell us your best bets. Of course, this is not only a handicapping show. Our goal is to provide a fun, 45 minutes or so of just previewing the week in football and talk about our impressions of the teams and crack jokes. Should I take a moment and look over at the chat and say hello? I got a lot of familiar names here. I see Dry Erase Girl. I see Aaron. I see Kevin. I see Allison and Jim. I see Jaquan and Troy and a different Kevin and Angus and Victor. We're so happy to have you with us. Well, I'm sure we'll get more people joining us along the way. And we're going to, at some point here along the way, going to open up to 5 Minutes of Fantasy where you can ask us questions and we will specifically try to answer your stuff. Jim, are you ready to look at the slate for Week 14?
I am. And I just encourage our viewers. I know everybody has a good pick. Just pick the Eagles or just do something and mouth it. But instead of just mouthing it in the air and saying it to yourself and walking away, type it.
Put it in the comments. That's right. Put it in the comments. All right. So Thursday night is a really good one. It is a rematch of a game that probably wasn't that good in Green Bay a few weeks ago. As I recall, Detroit was way out in front of that game, and then Green Bay scored a late touchdown that just made it look aesthetically a little more pleasing. It is, in fact, the Packers going to Detroit, and they're facing the Lions. I wanted to kind of frame this game in terms of your perception of the Lions, because the Lions' schedule has not been very hard lately. They've been beating up on some bad teams, and I think beating up is maybe being kind to what they've been doing. They've kind of let a lot of bad teams hang around, including the Bears last week. Finally, Eberflus is gone as a result of that game, but let's face it, the Lions should have lost that game if the Bears were at all. They somehow let the time go out without a timeout. Yeah. So how much worry do you have that the Lions' troubles are real, or are you more thinking this is kind of a maturation stage in the NFL that teams that finally realize internally that they're good kind of always go through?
I think it's more the latter, a little bit more of that growing pains thing. People, I think, bring their best. This is like, we've talked about the America's team thing. That might be anecdotal BS, but the idea being that they do, like the Chicago played better than they have in a while, or at least put together a game outside of the mind-crippling, melting finish. Like, and trust me, Philadelphia Thanksgivings were not ruined. We were okay, but still upsetting because watching that the influence it could have had on the 1 seed. But in any case, I'm not worried about Detroit as much as I like this game. I still need more evidence, I would say, though. I'm not like, I would say that actually I think that I understand the Eagles' identity more. Not that I think the Eagles are better. I think I understand they're like what they want to do each week more. But again, this is without Hutch. This is without like this very special player. And so if we get him back, that could change things. But I still think there's something to do with the pass rush that's missing. That might be some of this.
Dude, they're missing every linebacker, aren't they?
And so, they're like, Anzalone. People can say he misses plays, but he's also a splash playmaker. He reminds me of like a Kendrick brother, where he'll miss 10 tackles, but make. So they're missing stuff. You're right, and it shows.
I mean, no question. Defensively, they're missing
stuff.
Shown
for an example, like that hasn't shown up yet somehow. So
now, what I will say about the Lions is that we're probably being uncharitable to say that they should have lost that game. At halftime of that game against the Bears on Thanksgiving, they had more first downs than the Bears did yards.
Yes.
So
they leaned on them. They waited around, but they're trying to do this Chiefs, I guess, thing that like only the Chiefs can do that. Stop doing that.
Stop doing that. Stop touching yourself. That said, this line is at home, Detroit -3, and I can't get out of my head the fact that just 3 weeks ago or whatever, this game wasn't close, and they haven't lost that much. I mean, they've lost a couple linebackers since then, but I don't think the linebackers they've lost have been great since then, the Lions, that is. And so I'm giving the field goal.
The previews from afar that I've read, like the national kind of like, basically boilerplate, maybe AI. I don't know what I'm reading sometimes, but like,
hey, I'm Skippy Magoo, and here's my preview.
Exactly. Skippy Magoo's, like number one picks, and their take was that actually last time, because of the yardage, like if you look at the box score, Green Bay outgained Detroit in that last game, but again, like that fourth quarter had like 130 yards. It was also the groin game. What I'm trying to say is there's some reasons I think for people to think that Green Bay is a true peer right here. But I also take I guess my issue is that Green Bay doesn't have their win either, because like Houston now looks like kind of a wounded team. And of course Green Bay was, I mean, San Francisco. Long story short, I agree. I'm giving the points. I didn't think I was going to be here. I thought I'm a Green Bay guy, but I think Detroit's in a better position here.
All right.
It's just score.
Let's go on to Dave Piper's worst nightmare, which is the Cleveland Browns continuing to play football. Sometimes I wish Dave's mic was live on the stream or the feed or however people are watching this thing, because I would love to just get a live look in and that he gets to experience Jameis. Not all of us get that experience of like the highs and the lows and setting franchise records and throwing pick sixes. There was something like 900 total yards in the air in the game between Cleveland and Denver, if you include all the offensive passing and all the pick sixing and all the interception returns. That is something else. That is something else. Now, the thing is, they're going to Pittsburgh. And you remember just a couple of Thursdays ago, the Steelers went to Cleveland, and we bit down hard. We've been getting a lot of games right lately against the spread, but we get that one wrong.
Right.
And I'm having a hard time figuring out this spread. I don't know how. I guess I understand that the Steelers, who doesn't score a lot of points against the Bengals, but they did score a lot of points against the Bengals, and Jameis soiled himself on national television, and so I guess I get it. But didn't I just see the Browns beat the Steelers? How are the Steelers almost a touchdown favorite?
Because they just did a big shiny touchdown game, I think, and like there's all like the rejuvenation of or whatever, the rehabilitation of the Tomlin effect, whatever it is, whatever's happening with Russell Wilson. It's like carrying over now to the betting side, which it wasn't before. Like it was like, it seemed like people were still tepid on that, but like this seems like the full, you say it sometimes, there's that lag where it takes like multiple times for the public to buy in. And this feels like the wave cresting where it's like, everybody, really there's just so many boilerplate things you can say. Tomlin, and Wilson's playing well, and then George Pickens denies doing terrible celebrations. Like, they have a lot going on. But seriously, like, TJ Watt is playing out of his brain. So I just think there's this national team kind of going with them too. Also, the AFC feels like they don't have a momentum team. It feels like everyone's like Steelers. Meanwhile, Jameis can throw 700 yards on you.
He can.
He's a purple Camaro, like in front of a bowling alley. Like,
here's the thing though about. I think there's a validity to say, as genius as Sean Payton is apparently being with Bo Nix, that's how stupid he was with Russell Wilson, because he was trying to fit the square peg into the round hole. And at least the Steelers are doing very minimal. Yeah, right. They're doing Russ stuff. They're doing minimal timing routes. They're minimal tight window throws. Minimal, basically, he doesn't want to throw it over the middle of the field. It's improv. It's run around. It's throw it deep. It's wait. And like against Cincinnati, of course that's going to work. Cincinnati can't tackle me. Like, Cincinnati's pass rush is awful. I don't know about Cleveland, man. I don't know that. Right. I don't know that you're going to get the 6-second runaround from Russell Wilson. Myles Garrett will kill you.
And Denzel Ward really looks healthy. I think that's a shift that's happened too. Like, you can see these points when somebody goes into a lineup, whether it's like Cooper DeJean or there's some trade that happens. It's difficult to tell when a player starts playing better. But that's what's or looking healthy. I think that's like a low key thing. It's like, he's not Patrick Surtain, but he's really good. And so if he, like last week, if you saw, he made 2 crazy splash plays. One of them tipping an interception up to a teammate. He's Myles Garrett now has a peer, is what I'm trying to say, in a way. And so, yeah, they're good. At the same time, I can't give this many points with Russell Wilson. It's more of Russ. You can't do it, Russ. You can't do it.
Well, we're on the same side. I also am going to take 6.5. Steelers will win, but I'm going to take 6.5. We'll get to the rest of the slate in just a second. Let me thank DraftKings for continuing to make this show possible, whether my video is choppy or not, which it just may be today. We're having technical issues here and there, but you know what? You can hear me. That's what matters. Who wants to see this face? DraftKings is a valued sponsor, and they have a good promotion. And if you hear us talk about these games and you think, maybe I would try putting down $5 on a game. I mean, I'm not kidding. That's what I bet. So, please don't bet very much. But it's fun. It gives you a rooting interest, especially on a national window game. And if you download the DraftKings app or go to DraftKings.com and you sign up using the code HarrisTube, all one word, HarrisTube, then make one $5 bet. And if you get it right, you'll get $150 in bonus bets put into your account right away that you can spread around and have fun over the course of a week or two. Thank you very much to DraftKings, and those of you who are looking for a way to give something back to the show. If you've never had a DraftKings account, this is actually a wonderful way you could do it. Just sign up using the code HarrisTube. You don't even really have to use it that often. It would make us look better in their eyes, and we would appreciate it. So thank you so much for doing that. All right, I got a couple of games I'm going to fast forward through. They both involve the New York teams. Jets Dolphins probably has a for fans of Don Strock and Richard Todd. The days when they
Jay Fiedler. I mean,
yeah, the days when these teams were battling it out for AFC supremacy. Okay, great, but for people who are of normal age, under 30, they don't want to talk about this game any more than we do. The Dolphins are a 6-point favorite. Which way do you lean?
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins are a fragile team, right? I think they have to have things going for them to play the right game. But this is not the Jets' identity as a defense is completely blown. It's been blown for a long time. We haven't talked about Sauce in a long time, kind of for a reason. They're just really bad. They're bad. So I'm going to give the points. I didn't think I was going to want to give this many points, but I think the Jets are getting too much. I thought this would be a 7-point game. So, yeah. Okay.
I thought it would be 6, so I have it as a no play. Feels like I don't want to play this game. And then we'll also just speed through Saints Giants. On one hand, I want to say to the world, what in the world have the New Orleans Saints done to be a 5-point favorite against a college team, let alone the Giants?
This is Rutgers. Yeah.
Yeah, and yet I look like the only thing that was preventing Alvin Kamara from having 1,000 yards in this game was Dexter Lawrence, and
he's out. Yeah,
he's not playing. So I myself am going to give 5 points to the Giants if I'm the Saints.
Wow. Yeah, this is so difficult. I'm going to take him because the Saints are just. I think there's a 30% chance that Derek Carr just ends up on the Giants by halftime. Like they just
accidentally,
they
make a trade
halfway through. Prayer circle.
All right, let's talk about. Actually, you know what? Let's say hi to our chat here,
sure.
And let's do a little like spike for the. Well, we got some people in here. It'll get fewer as the season goes along, but for the people who are in here, you ready to do a like spike? When I count it down, hit the like button. It helps us become a little more discoverable. We would really appreciate it if you hit the like button in 3, 2, 1, like. And we already had like Nico and David suggesting the spike. And here's the spike. Wow. That's a lovely spike. We appreciate that. That's lovely. We can feel the love. Ben and David and
just got
Viola and a different David. Nico and Max. Well done. Thank you. Thank you for all the hundreds and the likes and all that stuff. For those of you who are listening on the podcast, which probably there are a lot of you, I don't know. Just like say into your phone, just say the word like. Just go like right in your phone. I'm sure that will send good karma out into the universe. A better game, and one that I saw the chat requesting the voice for, and I got to be careful. I only have so many of these, Jim, in any given season. But God knows that Kirk Cousins going back to Minnesota requires the voice. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is revenge game. Because
but I was like Kirk Cousins doesn't do revenge. It's more like we're friends game. Like
we're friends game. So I don't know if you got to see the Charger game. We're going to talk about the Chargers later in the show.
I did.
The Charger Falcon game because
it was amazing. It was bad. It was up there with like the worst quarterback performances of the year, and I've seen some stuff. Like I watched an entire Spencer Rattler game. And this was worse.
Unbelievable. And what we're referring to, of course, is Kirk Cousins throwing 4 interceptions. I mean, the last one was they were down multiple scores. It didn't matter. It was just humiliating. But he gave this game away. The Chargers never moved the ball. My go-to analysis for the Atlanta Falcons all year has been I don't trust the pass rush. And so pass games against the Falcons, I want to target for fantasy, and I want to just target when we are talking about point spreads or whatever. And yet in this game, they got after Justin Herbert. They played really well defensively, and what killed them was Kirk Cousins. And I'm sort of at a loss.
Because like regression, like I don't know where this is coming. This is such a dip of the Kirking. So somebody brought it up and mentioned, I forget where it was, but they were like, this did look like Washington Kirk Cousins. Like where he just would like overthink everything and just discombobulate and be like, throw to him. And like, whereas he's been this higher floor kind of safe guy was the selling point in Minnesota. And like, now that's very not the case. It has to be physical too, that he can't make the throw because there's stuff that just doesn't make sense.
I guess, but there have been other games where he's been fine. There have been other gagames where he's seen Darnell Mooney standing 7 feet in front of him and not thrown it directly into the turf. I don't know if I can blame an Achilles or anything else. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was bad. I mean, he's the kind of idiot who then goes out and puts up 500 against the Vikings when we don't expect it, right? That's the kind of doofus he's been.
Duty somehow, and he doesn't even play.
And then he'll go out screaming, "You like that?" And then I get to play that sound effect on the podcast, which everybody loves, obviously. So it would seem that the truth in advertising in this particular game are the Vikings, and they struggled for a while, and Aaron Jones kept dropping the ball last week, but eventually Sam Darnold played very well once again. I think Sam Darnold's the reason he
was under pressure, and he responded.
19-6, I think they were losing that game in the second half, and he made a few real baller throws. So, like, I trust the Vikings are the Vikings. My worry ruining this game would be that revenge game that Cousins pulls it out of his butt. But like, I'm not going to bet on it.
His line is distorted by that outlier. I mean, he's been bad. He hasn't been good for a while now, but that was an outlier. Look, if you're not Tampa Bay, Kirk Cousins hasn't been very good this year. Like, but. With this game, the thing to me is just it may be like really simple, but it's just Brian Flores team versus like still object. It just feels like that it validates the spread, and I didn't think I'd be there either. But that was such a bad performance that there's a percentage that the revenge game plays out the other way. So
I guess. I mean, if he bounces back, it will be the 100th time he's done it in his career, and I'll eat the I'll eat the L.
Panic before. It's true. Yes.
Yeah, but like at this time of year, I think we're all well advised to believe teams when they tell us who they are. Great. And the Vikings are telling me that they're better than 5.5 points better than the Falcons, and so I'm going to take the Vikings as well. All right. Do you have the stuffed creature?
Yeah.
So this is a test of the stuffed creature's moxie, I would say, or like stick-to-itiveness, because since you've adopted this creature into the show, the Eagles have not lost. They haven't always covered, but they've mostly covered, and they've never been favorites like this. They've got the Panthers coming to town. It's the Miles Sanders revenge game. I only have a few of those left. I got to be careful. Miles Sanders isn't playing in this game. Can I take it back? I don't think I can.
I mean, he probably couldn't get rid of his condo,
So maybe he'll be there in spirit. I think the line is 12. And I also think Carolina has played like they're maybe the 10th worst team in the league and not the third worst or the worst. Yeah. So how do you approach it?
This one's tough for me because I've been riding this bird. Yeah, this is tough. Yeah, go Birds. Yeah, I'm going to cover my mouth. Yeah, don't kill anybody. Yeah, but it's too many points. You know what I mean? Too many points. Yeah. When I first saw this line, I said 10.5. Yeah, you mean I hit a scratch off, and I hit the scratch off. I didn't really hit scratch off. I got my scratch off money back, but that's kind of winning. So, yeah, I'm going to go Panthers in this one, but Birds win.
I can't call it a bear because bears aren't that funny. It's a creature. It's the Jim McCormick creature, and it's on the Panthers. And
scratch off dust.
It's inhaling a little too much scratch off dust.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lay them. I thought it was gonna be 13. I'm gonna lay them.
I get it.
Them.
There's a Saquon 200-yard second quarter in this. There is. But.
All I need to do. I watched I think Chris Raymond was on the podcast on Monday, and we talked about Bucky Irving, and we talked about Rashad White, and it's like, I mean, Carolina's playing really well in every way but one, and that one happens to be Saquon.
That's a problem.
What Saquon does, so it is a problem. But there's a million ways for them to get blown out and lose by 10.
That's what I kind of mean, like a weird.
Absolutely.
Adam Thielen touchdown. Where you're just like, what happened?
Absolutely. All right, just give me a pick. Because it's a Mac Jones game, and my God, I don't want to talk about it. Jacksonville's going to Tennessee. Tennessee's a 3.5 point favorite. What's your pick there?
This is like the Spider-Man meme. I don't know.
All right, just give me your pick.
I'm going to give the points because
me too.
Just Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to do it. All right, we made our way through the early games, and now, what do you say? Let's do 5 minutes of fantasy with our friends.
Do it.
What do you think?
Do it.
So those of you who are in the chat and hanging out with us, we got a bunch of people watching. We really appreciate you. Hit us up with your fantasy questions, and we're going to do 5 minutes of fantasy with you. And I need to catch up because I'm obviously a little behind, and also my video's a little janky. If I do this, if I dance and sway and stuff, I just start turning into a 10-bit, 8-bit individual. All right, we caught up.
So
here we go. Shadow is Wicked asks a question. Pick 2 for the flex. I didn't at first know what MHJ meant because I'm not smart, but that's Marvin Harrison. So it's Marvin Harrison, Nick Westbrook-Akine, or Rashad White. Pick 2.
It's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. And then, like we said, it's tough with that Tampa running. He's kind of the odd man out. It's going to be the touchdown guy. It's going to be 2 catches, 1 touchdown. It's I don't know how it works, but it works.
Westbrook-Akine. Yeah. I'll say Rashad White, so I'm going to screw you up, Shadow. Sorry. Cisco says, is inhaling the scratch-off dust a euphemism? No, it's actually inhaling scratch-off dust.
It's how you hit the numbers.
James says, what is your playoff roster bench construction?
I do start to stash defenses. Especially if my team's good, I know there's players that there's really buys are done, and especially if it's a deep enough roster, I'll start to load up defenses that make sense, particularly if there's a matchup that just looks really good and it's sitting there. Even just to keep it away from my opponent too. So I'll carry multiple defenses, whereas I wouldn't do that in the regular season.
And running backs.
Running backs, yeah.
we're going to talk about that on Friday on the podcast with Josh about which running backs we would be stashing, which, depends on which are available, obviously, but like that's a big one. And I don't think people need to be married to the handcuff of the starter that they already have. I don't think you pick up Kenny Gainwell and drop Ray Davis.
Right.
Like I'll take Ray Davis. I have no idea which starter is going to get hurt, but if one of them does, if it's an even chance, give me Ray Davis.
Right.
Yeah, that's generally how I roll it, I would say. Max says, I have no question. I just have Jordan Love, and I'm never doing that again.
I mean, yeah, watch him throw 7 touchdowns in the dome.
Ben says, if Deontay Johnson is suspended, does anyone actually know? Kind of like a tree falling in a forest. Not great.
Maybe not.
Viola says, when I did the wave, it's Chris's Jameis impression. This is my wacky waving inflatable arm flailing too. Matt says, for a flex, would you trade K9? Again, I'm not smart enough to know these. I don't know what K9 is. So you're going to have to tell me. Lucas, Bo Nix or Brock Purdy? Well, Bo Nix isn't playing this week, Lucas. Aaron says, I need a win to make the playoffs. Higher upside from Xavier Leggett or Zach Charbonnet?
Charbonnet, because I think like with Walker's banged up and Walker's been kind of bad lately.
Gustavo, would you trust Sam Darnold or Jameis Winston over Justin Herbert during the fantasy playoffs? I have running quarterback ranks. Just go to harrisfootball.com and you'll find some quarterback ranks. Let's see. Ben says, would you be looking to move George Pickens in Dynasty if your season is over?
Not particularly. I mean, he's pretty good. He's been like, I wouldn't be trying to move him particularly, but I could see that he's ascendant and all these things, but he's a pretty good player. So I would probably want to continue that. But that's me.
He's a knucklehead. I mean, Dave Piper has invented a whole sub-genre of silliest things based on either things George Pickens does or things that people do that remind him of things George Pickens does. But I think I hold on.
His character. Yeah.
Sean is asking a tight end question. Sean, it's the easiest thing in the world. Go to harrisfootball.com. Thank you for being here. David says, man, there's a lot of words here, buddy. Picked up. I don't know what that says. Yeah, I can't decipher it, David S. I'm sorry about that. Victor says, can I feel okay starting Jaden Reed in a guillotine league? I'm still alive in a full PPR. Would you, in a guillotine league, roll? I mean, it's a wide receiver question, Victor. Just go. Single position.
But I get it. Okay. It's a good situation. It's a big over-under, so sure.
Right. But he has Jacoby Myers too, and I would say between those two.
Sure.
Just look at the ranks. I'm going to have Jaden Reed higher for sure.
Right.
MVS or Sam Laporta?
Laporta. Yeah.
Me too. I agree. Superflex spot says Joe. Drew Lock, Brian Thomas, Rico Dowdle.
Thomas, because I know he's always missing him, Mac Jones, but he's constantly open. That like the big play might happen.
I think I got to play Drew Lock. I know it's old and boring to just always play the quarterback. Yeah. I mean, I see the argument against he stinks, but like there's just he gets 15 points by just tying his shoes.
Showing up. It's the SATs, right? Yeah.
K9 is Kenneth Walker. Okay, people, I don't know these hip things. Nico says the dynasty community is going crazy for Bucky Irving. What range would you have him in among running backs, I guess, for dynasty?
Phew. I mean, there's a lot of reshuffling, right? There's a class that's like changing out this year in a way. He'd be pretty high for me. He'd be like close to the top 10, I would assume, because I think this is his job going forward. So close to the top 12 backs. Am I too crazy?
I think you're crazy. He's awfully small. I mean, he and Devon Achane are not going to last. In Dynasty, I would be selling probably. Okay. I would be selling both of them. I would want to get a lot, but like I suspect that they're both not going to last. He's so small. He's really good and much better than Rachaad White. And I believe I've been telling you that from the moment he stepped on a field.
Right.
Dave Piper, the producer, says Tyrone Tracy or Darnell Mooney. I think it's Tracy.
Mooney because it's revenge week. No.
It's
Tracy's getting the ball.
Very clearly Tracy.
Okay.
Lucas asks Bo Nix or Brock Purdy rest of the season? The thing is, you don't need to answer the question rest of the season. You just get to pick one each week. Unless you're saying I only want to carry one, but if you only want to carry one, then you have to use Purdy because Nix isn't playing this week. This is a good point. This is a good thing to have brought up. I say it a lot on the podcast lately. Like, you don't have to set your week 17 lineup right now.
Oh.
You get to decide that once you have more information in a few weeks. So
Sure.
I would say don't worry too much about it. So, all right. That was good. That was a little more than 5 minutes. If you are asking a single position question and you're new and you're not, you found us through other means, we have a website. It's called harrisfootball.com. I put lots of single position ranks on there, and you can get pretty good insight to what I think there. All right. So thank you for the 5 minutes of fantasy. That was fun. And now let's get back we'll start with the late games here. And we just saw the Seahawks and Cardinals just a couple of weeks ago in Seattle. And Seattle did the work they needed to do. And I thought had that game pretty well in hand, and probably most impressively shut down James Conner. And that seems like a requirement, because my overall impression of Arizona at this point is that they are incredibly buttoned up to the point where as someone who thinks that Kyler Murray was way too loose, I'm sort of like, man, what happened to Kyler Murray? Like, they really are completely buttoned up offensively right now, and Murray's not running except to scramble occasionally and not for big yards. And they're really not throwing it very far down the field. And obviously Marvin Harrison hasn't turned into much. It's pretty crazy to me that Seattle goes to Arizona and it's not even a question which of these offenses is crazier.
Yeah. There's something like the Jazz, whatever the improv is out. It's not on the set. Yeah. You're not going, this isn't a jam band anymore. This isn't going to see Kyler and the boys. This is like, these guys, it is very reliant though too. It really does start with Connor, and like it's very, when that's gone, they just don't seem to know what to do. So that's what's interesting. And so that was almost a hallmark game for Seattle to say that they're real too. That and when they beat up the rest of the division. So
yeah, I mean, Connor didn't go crazy last week, but he just looked like himself. He would get stopped and get 2 extra yards or 3 extra yards, and against Seattle, man, he was pretty well buttoned up. I don't know if they've got like a formula or anything, but you've said it many times on this channel that Seattle has done an incredible job amassing under the radar defensive talent. And however far they're going to go, we assume not that far with Geno, but like however far they're going to go is probably going to be because of those. And they're not even like big guys. The first round pick is a big guy, but like it's corners, it's safeties, it's small linebackers. They just got really fast and really athletic. So all that said, do you take Seattle on the road as the crazier offense? I think what we say this line is Cardinals -2.5.
Yeah, I mean, I do get the respect for Arizona. They're not the volatile team that I like. They're grown up coming in. They're now kind of boring in a way. But Seattle, I know they have some volatility, but I really do buy this defense. Like, I think it's really coming on because it's both things are happening. There are some really good personnel areas. Really, we talked about it before, but the trade for Ernest Jones is big, and just what's happened with they're just at the ball, and it wasn't that way prior to him. I'm not saying it's a one player thing, but it's like a connective thing that really works for them. So I'm taking the points. And
I am
really
too.
kind of actually.
I set the line at 2. So I don't want to say I think it's outrageous or whatever. I said it at 2 and it's at 2.5. It's probably a pretty sharp line, but it does seem to disregard the result from a couple of weeks ago. And maybe sometimes crazy is good. I mean, I will admit in a rematch just a few weeks later, the adult team, it feels like often does kind of exert its will. So maybe we're just being looped in by what happened last time they played, but I'm going to not ignore it. I'm going to believe what the teams told us, so I'm on the same side as you are. Speaking of believing what teams tell us they are, it's the San Francisco 49ers. Or is it? Many, many, many players who used to play for the San Francisco 49ers are now working through, I don't know, taking their stitches out or whatever, because they're all gone. And boy, if there's not anything more emblematic of the entire 49ers season, speaking of the question about Brock Purdy, there was that play in the second half where you felt like, all right, maybe the Niners have a chance here in the snow against Buffalo. I can see a world where this works out. Brock Purdy steps back in the snow, lifts the ball over his head, nobody touches him, and the ball falls out of his hand before he throws it. Like it was the tiny-handed moment. Like, now I understand why he was the 7th-round pick. Oh, like this is the Bears. This game is not really about the Bears.
Mm-mm. No, and some people might want to make it about the fired coach thing. Like, no, that was already that smell was already in the house. This is all about the Niners. What can they do? Because they've been toggling, like between, kind of like the infirmary, but now it's like full on. They don't have any of those pieces. It's the Isaac Guerrero show. It's Guerrero, yes. I don't know his name. Yeah, see? And at the same time, like I actually, I'm such a sucker. I still just think that there's something left, that there's some pride left here that they deserve to give this many points. I do. I know they're limping into this, but like there is a chance. I think there's a chance. So. No,
I mean, we'll see, but I'm choosing through 12 games and 13 weeks that if the Niners had anything else to show us, they would have already shown it to us.
Yeah. And why would it be?
Well, I mean, of course, the Bears there's a reason that people thought the Bears were going to break out this year.
Sure.
And like there's
guys on that team, right? It's not just Caleb Williams.
It's a middle talented, if not better, kind of team, and maybe just with neutral coaching. I mean,
absolutely, it has roadblock coaching, right.
Matt Eberflus, I'm sorry to pile on, but like we were saying out in the show 2 years ago, he's a moron. Should not have been a head coach in the NFL at any time. He was bad at it.
He microwaves football. Like it's bad.
So like having him gone, give me the dead cat bounce if nothing else. And I don't even think they're particularly dead cats. I'm not calling it a best bet or anything, but I'm gonna take those points.
Interesting.
Bears +4. It's a rematch of some John Gruden Super Bowl from a million years ago. Raiders against Buccaneers, right? That was
supposed to be my Super Bowl. But the Bucs closed the vet. I was there, and I spent $350 to sit with nobody. Like this guy, I sat with this guy Gary. Because we couldn't even afford seats together, my friends. So, and we watched Tiki Barber and what was his name? What was that Jervicious? Touchdown. I can't do this anymore. So.
Tiki Barber was on the Buccaneers?
Rondé Barber.
Rondé Barber.
Sorry.
Okay,
yeah.
Because Rondé Barber was good.
He was good.
All right, so I don't want to talk about this game. It's Aiden O'Connell, Manny from Modern Family, as I like to call him.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers are 6.5 point favorites at home.
Yeah, I think the Bucs starting to look like themselves a little bit more. I know they're not that. They can play to their opponent, but I'm going to give them points. So.
All right, I'm taking them. Raiders. The first Los Angeles game, and since I obviously have a huge West Coast bias, we will talk about the 2 LA games.
Right.
Born and bred, obviously.
A yachtsman.
Kevin says Matt Eberflus and Gus Bradley are the same guy. I mean, they're not like football pedigree wise, but yeah, I think there's a little hardo.
This is only Gus Bradley's 3rd year in Indianapolis. You could have told me it's his 23rd year, like literally.
And he's the only one, Gus Bradley, who's still coaching that Pete Carroll cover 2.
He's like
not the cover 2, the single high. Everybody else is running cover 2, and he's running cover 3 or whatever it is.
It's amazing. It's like Greg Williams is pumping his fist.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna do the Bills coming here to Los Angeles, and they're now. Did I hear they're like the earliest team to have clinched a division in like 2 decades? Chat can confirm.
Wow.
I think it's something like that. Is there a letdown in their future? I don't. That's the kind of analysis that we really can't offer. What I do think is the Rams present a known and specific defensive challenge, and I don't know if Josh Allen finds it that much of a challenge. So, I mean, the Rams are going to play zone. The Rams are going to play the opposite of Gus Bradley. They're going to go cover 2, matriculate the ball down the field against us. We're going to wait for you to make a mistake. Josh Allen will make it a mistake here or there. He'll get fooled by man under. He'll make a mistake here or there. He's just not going to have a ton of pressure in his face. And he's a pretty big favorite against the Rams, who are very much still in the playoff picture. Were you surprised that this line was Bills -4.5?
I wasn't, because I'm just like a Bills, like
a hunk.
I pretend like that, like Matt Milano's healthy, and like I just have it's like a fantasy like team of mine. But no, seriously, they feel like they know who they are. Like, again, like they really have their identity. And when I know this is a terrible stat, but when they do win, they win like, I forget what it is, but some very high percentage of Josh Allen's wins are like by 6 or more. He does like pull away. I think it might also be, that might be a good McDermott stat for like this defense. Look, Micah Hyde's out of retirement. So
I know. I mean, he probably doesn't play in this one.
Of Micah Hyde's. And the more important thing is I just think they're way better. I had this at 6. Like, I think, yeah.
I had it at 4, so I'm on the other side.
Gotcha.
I'm on the other side. I mean, I don't feel strong. I don't feel strongly about it. Yeah, it's a week of a lot of, one of us could get wrecked here. I almost think I would rather have Josh Allen playing against a man team where he doesn't have to think as much. He just gets to throw it against free runners. Like, my man's going to beat your man and let's go. Like, that's clearly not going to be what the Rams going to do. Like, he can diagnose. He's awfully good. But I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going to take the points. 4.5 at home just seems like a little bit too much to me, but like, I don't feel strongly about it. I actually feel stronger about the Sunday night game, dude. And you're going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked who I'm on for Chiefs Chargers, because what's been the mantra of this show all year
is the hang around Chiefs, the hang around, you mess up. Wait, you do the Chargers thing. And I'll be over here with my Andy Reid smirk. And
it's been moneyline Chiefs, but fade them against the spread. They don't cover.
This line like made for that. Like,
it's made for it. This line is made. I'm glad you said it. It's made for it. It's Chiefs -4 home against the Chargers. And I want to go back in time about a half an hour and regurgitate the moment where we tried to think of a worse offensive performance for a winning team than the Chargers last week against the Falcons. Like, they were inept. They couldn't run. They allowed the freaking Falcons to rush the passer against them. They were terrible, and they won that game because Kirk Cousins was much, much worse. I don't feel that good about the Chargers right now, and I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm laying points. I can't believe it. What a sucker.
I'm going to take the points because I actually think there's something. I think Herbert could do this. I don't know why. I'm hooked. I get it.
Dude, you have all the trends on your side. Well, I'm not looking at the chat, but I hope the chat is roasting me.
And like high ankle Herbert, when it was high ankle Herbert, he still put up a good. I don't know. There's something. I'm just buying the moxie, and I'm also just buying the fact that it's going to be like a 61-yard kick for Harrison Butker or whatever his name is, and he's going to win it.
Matthew Wright.
He's much more acceptable.
Yeah. It's stupid. Why am I doing this? But I think this is about, finally, this is the breaking point where the Chiefs finally cover, and the books have all been beaten down.
Right.
Because I think the wise guys have mostly been fading the Chiefs for 2 months.
Sure.
And finally, this is the moment where, I don't know why I'm saying it. I hope you're roasting me, chat. All I can say. I got David saying Chargers money line. David, you have more brain cells in your fingers that you needed to type that than I do have in my whole head, because it does feel like this is really stupid. So David S., you're probably right. Lastly, we have Monday night. We've got the Bengals, whose defense is just so very bad. Like, you can say the Cowboys are a mess, and they are.
Right.
But the worst unit on the field on Monday night is going to be the Bengals defense, no?
Yeah. And they're like running into each other. They don't know. When it says like push, they pull. Like, they don't know how to get into a Panera. Like
so the best unit is certainly the Bengals offense, and that's been your heat-seeking missile during your hot streak in picking games lately. But I think by far the worst unit will also be the Bengals on defense. How do you reconcile that, like, for how you imagine the game winds up going?
It's difficult because I also play all the, like, I just think like the free runners, like, of the Bengals running in through this, like, whatever happened to the Dallas secondary, like, and what they do now. I guess how I reconcile it is that, like, I don't know if Dallas could just, their offense itself doesn't feel like the offense that's going to punish this team enough. So I can see, that's why I can see the points. And also I just love being a hater, but it's really more than I had this at 6. I had this at 6, and I do understand how bad they are. I do. But I think this could be like a circus offense game for them too, in a way.
It could
I know
be,
Michael Parsons is there, but just there's not much else besides that. So
heaven knows I have enough Joe Burrow on fantasy teams, and I have
Right.
Jamar Chase enough, not quite as much, but enough. I've got the stack. Can we get the bear telling us how bad the Cowboys are just real quick here?
yeah, dude, yeah. Listen, yeah, dude. Did I lose my mortgage one time on Tony Romo? Sure. Yeah, but listen, that's never going to happen again. First of all, you can't bet on the CBS commentators, and Dak Prescott has Daffy Duck on his leg. Go Birds. Cincinnati's
All right.
better than them.
So you're going Cincinnati -5.5. I think this is a trap line. I think it's too many
Feels
points
trappy.
for a team with a defense this bad. So, man, we really went opposite ways a
Yep.
lot more than we have lately. We'll see
Yep.
if either one of us benefits of. I'm going to take Cowboys +5.5. So we are at the point of the show where we're going to pick two games that we feel strongest about, 2-point spreads that we feel strongest about. And what we want everybody in the chat to do, instead of putting your pick in the chat, just go to the comments. Like, all you have to do is go down below and type your comment down there, because producer Dave can't find you easily in the scroll of the chat once the show is over. So don't put your best bet in the chat. Put it down in the comments. Do it right now though, while we're giving ours. And Jim, you've been smoking hot. Hot. Are you 6-0 in your best bets the last 3 weeks?
I believe so, yeah.
I think you are. That's pretty darn good. We both went 2-0 with our best bets last week. Your best bets are better than mine. I'm 14-12 on the season. What are you thinking? What's your best angle?
I'm going to live on the edge here and give points in both road points in both of my games. Buffalo, I just think they roll. I think there's a way for them to steamroll this Rams team, which again I respect, but they kind of feel fragile. And then Seattle, again, giving points. I'm on one NFC West team and kind of betting against another. So
right. They're taking points,
two of
right?
them, so, yeah.
Seattle's taking points, yeah.
Seattle,
we're on the same side in that one.
Sorry, I was taking points, but my point, I'm taking the road teams in each one. So, yeah.
I feel much worse about my Rams pick now that you made the Bills your favorite bet of the week, but c'est la vie. All right, my two are, I'm also taking road dogs and significant ones. They're both 6.5-point road dogs. I'm going to take Dave Piper, the Cleveland Browns, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They just won. What could go wrong? In Jameis we trust. All that could go wrong for Dave is a lower draft pick. And the Raiders. The Raiders are going to keep the thing close against the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield got stepped on in that game and had to leave. Bucky Irving, who we talked about liking a lot and liking for Dynasty, he hurt his hip, and he wasn't even moving that well by the end of the game. So I think the Raiders, as constituted, 700 checkdowns to Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers, will hang close. But what do you think, person who's watching the YouTube video after the fact? Tell us down in the comments. What do you think, people in the chat? But don't tell us in the chat. Tell us down in the comments. Just go ahead and type them right now. Tell us right now. There's too much I can see out of the corner of my eye, peripheral vision. I see too much chatting in the chat and not enough down in the comments. What are you doing? Can we do one more like spike before we leave? People might already have left. I'm terrible at this. Ready? Let's do a like spike. 3, 2, 1. One more quick like spike at the end for the, fewer people watching now, but still a lot of people would love it. Bama Nation says, I look like a college professor. Yeah. My dad wishes. That's actually true. Sometimes my dad, I've made a good living, right? And my dad, I'll get on the phone with my dad. He's like, you always could have been a college professor, huh? It's like his daydream.
Could have taught that PPR course.
He's on the podcast as a guest many years ago, and he loves me. Thank you for the likes. We see them all coming in. We appreciate it so much. This was so fun to hang out with all of you. Remember, if I didn't answer your single position question, it's just easier to send you to harrisfootball.com. So please check out the website for some single position ranks. And then remember, down in the comments, let us know your best bet. We'll shout out somebody who gets it right next week. We made it through week 14. Jim, what do you think about that?
I think we're rolling, and I think it's time to start. Just stop saying the Eagles are so good. It's starting to scare me. Everybody, stop it.
All right. The Eagles are going to cover minus 12, but next week they're going to suck. Dave Piper, you're great. Thank you for doing this, Dave. And Jim, you're great too. Thank you to the chat. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening on the podcast feed. And we'll see you next week. Bye.